Daddy Dad Banana was a plush channel on YouTube that consisted of paper cutouts, arts and crafts and straight up rubbish. But it was an interesting show to say the least, with characters ranging from weird to downright deranged. Sadly though, the series got cancelled in 2020 for personal reasons. But just for some curiosity, we wonder which one of these characters from the channel would win the almighty Squid Game, and who would tumble down and fall to their demise. This is Who Would Win Squid Game, Daddy Dad Banana Edition. First, let's lay down the rules. First of all characters will enter this game with no powers, abilities or weapons, just so we can have them all be on an equal playing field. We will include some characters from the movie, and we're just sticking to Daddy Dad Banana, so no container canon Jerry Field characters, although we can make a separate video on them. With that being said, let's take a look at today's players: Mr. Bango, Banana, Elmo, Savage, Zorks Jr., Scamby Hand, Scary Monster, Chef PP, Zorks, Mr. Rock, King Humperdinck, Pinky, Dr. Helbert, Chief McCloud, Mr. Red, Elsa, Mr. Teddy Bear, Fidget Spinner, Mr. Bango's Children, Professor Mailbox, Boxhead, Elmo's Mum, Mr. Stick, Homer, Christmas Tree, Joey, World, Thomas, Satan, Thin, Wheat Bix, and Berry. Altogether this brings us to 32 players in total. Okay, let's begin. The first game is of course, red light, green light. The rules are simple: move during a green light and stop during a red light. You also want to get to the other side of the field before time runs out. Any movement during red light calls for elimination. Players can do well if they move quickly and pay attention to when red light is called. You also have to stay calm and not freak out if, to say, someone got caught moving and got shot. Most characters would pass this round, being able to move quickly and pay attention to when red light is called out, and being able to stay calm when someone is being eliminated, considering that most characters wouldn't really care about what's happening to one another. Even Elmo and Banana, who are known to be complete idiots, would pass this round, knowing what they have to do and how to do it. They would probably even make a great team working together. But we did say most would pass this round, so which players would lose? The first to go would be Savage. He is probably the most evilest character in DDB, just ask his cousin Boomer. He would be too impulsive, selfish and arrogant to pay attention. He would probably get too cocky and over his head, plus he lacks the athletic and healthy body to make it to the finish line on time. Homer is next. This guy gets too drunk to pay attention to what's even going on around him. He would be probably too lazy to even move. Elsa would go. She's too naive to even know what she got herself into, and when the bullets start firing, she would probably rather head towards the exit door and call it quits, resulting in her elimination. Both World and Joey would lose this round. These two are just too dumb and stupid to even know what to do, so they would be eliminated. Moving on, we have 27 players remaining, and the next game in the lineup is the Honeycomb Challenge. For this game 3 things are needed: a steady hand, remaining calm under pressure, and the patience to cut the shape without breaking it. And yes, even though most characters here don't have any hands, they have still shown to be able to pick up objects and use tools, so we give that a pass. We feel like Chef PP, Dr. Helbert, and Scamby Hand would pass this round effortlessly, considering that A. Chef PP is a cook, so he's worked with cutting food. B. Dr. Helbert is a doctor, so he's probably done surgery before, and C. Scamby Hand is a perfectionist, wanting to make sure everything is done nicely. We say for the most part, most characters would also pass this round, and really, only 2 characters fall here. Mr. Red would be eliminated, since he gets angry easily and lacks patience. He would probably break the cookie out of anger. And the next to go is Zorks. Just like Mr. Red, he gets too angry all the time, especially when he threatens to give Chef PP a hiding. He would probably break the cookie out of anger. We now have just 25 players left. And while this next round isn't technically one of the games, it's still important to include the Midnight Brawl. This challenge has all the players in one big room, having it be kill or be killed. There's really no rules here. You have to either be able to fight off other players or be sneaky enough to hide from the fight so no one can find you. It's pretty much a battle royal. And it would be pretty interesting to see who loses or survives, considering that no weapons or powers are allowed to be used. We believe that Satan would pass this round, being a giant demonic devil from literal hell, and even without his powers, his mass size and strength would be enough for him to make it out alive. All tiny paper cutout characters would have a field day being able to hide really well from the fight. Elmo is known to scrap with others, so he would pass this challenge. Even Mr. Bango's children would be able to pass this round, considering we're including them as a group except for Fidget Spinner and Savage. They would be able to work together to fight off any players. I mean, they were able to take on Elmo's mum in her dragon form in the movie. And with that being said, Mr. Bango's children are really protective of their father, so Mr. Bango would pretty much be surrounded in a protective circle from other players, so he would also pass. And last but not least, Christmas Tree would definitely pass this round. He has wrestled with Cookie Monsters, so wrestling with other people wouldn't be difficult for him. Now for the players that fall in this round, we have to say goodbye to Zorks' son, Zorks Jr. He lacks any fighting experience, and he's not that smart enough to find a good hiding spot. Also, considering that he can be annoying, he would be a target for some, especially Chef PP, who would not hesitate to kill the little brat. That might sound dark, but with all the stuff he's put this invisible chef through and also having to deal with him and his abusive dad, Chef PP would break. Scary Monster would also lose this round. He doesn't have any fighting experience, and while seeing his friend fall, Chef PP would also probably kill him next. King Humperdinck is next to fall. Instead of fighting himself, he would probably demand someone else to fight for him while also protecting him. We don't really know why he's even in the Squid Game, considering that he's already rich, so he wouldn't need that cash prize, unless he just wants more money. With him being such a self-absorbed, entitled, selfish and annoying prick, we would see that his personality would really get on everyone's nerves and he would definitely be a big target. And while it is sad to see this duo go, Professor Mailbox and Boxhead would both fall in this round. Both of them have no fighting experience, and while being a big cardboard box and a big basketball with a tiny cardboard box as a head, it would be impossible for these two to hide. And last to be eliminated in this round is Mr. Teddy Bear, and let's also include Chief McCloud and Dr. Helbert. None of these three have any fighting experience, and while yes, Chief McCloud is a cop, we always see him with a gun, so without his gun, he's got nothing. And while yes, they could just hide, everyone would have already killed Mr. Teddy Bear, considering he's an unlikable, power-hungry bear. Chief McCloud is too stubborn to hide like a coward, and Dr. Helbert, while we figure he's probably not a good hider. We have now only 17 players left out of our original 32 still standing. And now we move on to the next round, Tug-o-war. Everyone knows this game, but the twist is the center pit. The losing team gets pulled in, losing their lives. We're gonna figure out who moves on based on each character's abilities to work with others as well as their overall strength. You could survive with one of these traits, though chances of success will go down. Although these characters aren't really good at working together, we believe that with a good leader to lead, things might pull through. Mr. Bango and Banana were able to encourage the rest of the DDB cast to take on Elmo's mum, so we believe they would make it. Satan would also definitely pass this round, considering his strength. Whatever team Satan ends up in, that team will have a high chance at winning. Elmo would also be strong enough to make it past this round, same with Weet-Bix, who has some sergeant-type attitude to him, and while also saying he's been in the army, he would probably pass this round. The players that fall in this round, however, is Thomas. Throughout the movie, we don't really see any strength achievements from him, and while yes, he is pretty durable, that still doesn't change the fact he's not strong. While also not having the ability to speak, he wouldn't be able to talk to others to work with them. Elmo's mum is next to fall. We don't really think she would agree to work with others, as well as not really being that strong. If she was in her dragon form, she would have already beaten this game, but since there's no powers and abilities allowed, she suddenly crumbles to her demise. Berry is next to be eliminated. Her size brings a big disadvantage here. We're not judging her strength on her size, but we haven't really seen any strength achievements from her, and while being the smallest player there, even if she worked together with the other players, we believe her strength would contribute nothing, so sadly she loses. And we might as well include Thin, just like the same reasons Berry loses this round. We have now only 13 players left. We start to approach the home stretch as we get to the marbles round. This game is an interesting one. There are multiple routes someone could take in order to win. You could play it straight the traditional way and try to take your opponent's marbles through a fair competition. Or manipulate them to give it to you. You just have to show the guard you have all the marbles, and your opponent gets eliminated, but you can't lose any violence. One player that makes it out alive is Mr. Stick. I bet he is willing to try and manipulate his opponent into giving him the marbles, considering what type of person Mr. Stick is, willing to lie to get what he wants. Scamby Hand would also pass this round. He's smart enough to know that someone might be trying to take his marbles. Unfortunately, the first to go is two of Daddy Dad Banana's main characters, Elmo and Banana. This is where their stupidity will start to catch up. These two aren't the sharpest tools in the shed. They might have shown some moments of being smart, but they wouldn't pass this. They probably wouldn't know if their opponent just screwed them over and took their marbles, resulting in elimination. Another to lose this round would be Weet-Bix. Finishing off the last member of the food crew, Weet-Bix values honor above all else, so he wouldn't try to manipulate someone to take their marbles. Also, he'd probably be willing to actually sacrifice himself for another player. The last to be eliminated here is Mr. Bango's children. The only reason they would all lose this round is because of how easy it was for Savage to manipulate them into going on a treasure hunt while really he was trying to get him out of the way of his plans of killing his dad. Fidget Spinner was the only one to not fall for that, so they would get easily manipulated, resulting in elimination. Getting near the end, we are now left with just 9 players. We are now entering the Glass Stepping Stones Challenge. This is another interesting game. A lot of what happens actually just comes down to luck, however the people that go closer to last have a higher chance at winning. So if a character is smart, they find ways to be at the back to increase their odds, and the order in which someone chooses to go is typically reflected in their personality. First elimination is Satan. To be honest, this whole challenge is rigged against Satan, considering that you have to step on glass panels to reach the other side. His whole mass size would be a huge disadvantage. We don't know how much he weighs, but if he's supposed to be an almighty giant devil, then yeah, the first step he takes, no matter what glass he steps on, it's gonna break anyway. Chef PP is next to go. We feel like at this point, he would be too fixated on winning, so he would try to be the first to reach the end, resulting in him stepping on the wrong glass and falling to his elimination. Mr. Stick would also lose this round. Like Chef PP, he would be too focused on winning the cash prize, not paying attention to what glass panels he's stepping on. Fidget Spinner would also lose this round. We don't really know why he loses in this round, except for maybe he gets pressured into going first. We don't really know. We don't really get that much screen time with him to base our answers on, so we're just going with that. Even though he's light as a feather, Mr. Rock would also be eliminated. Mr. Rock can be angry, frustrated, annoyed and cynical, especially when interacting with his son, Elmo, but he can also get pretty anxious and nervous, resulting in him stepping on the wrong glass, falling to his doom. Pinky also loses in this round, considering that he's more of a follower, but at this point all the players have fallen. The only ones that are left are Scamby Hand, who would rather be the last person to go, Christmas Tree and Mr. Bango, and we're pretty sure none of them would let Pinky follow them, so sadly Pinky would have to go first, resulting in him stepping on the wrong glass, falling to his doom as well. And last but not least, the last player to fall in this round is the main character of the show, the dad in Daddy Dad Banana, Mr. Bango. We based our answers on what personality Mr. Bango has, and really he would just be too worried and would hesitate on every moment stepping on each glass. He would make it at the end. If we didn't consider that at this point, he would probably be too fixated on winning and wouldn't watch where he was going. And now we're finally made it to the final round, Squid Game. We now have our final 2 players standing, Scamby Hand and Christmas Tree. While there are legitimate ways to play this game, the show has it boiled down to a one-on-one battle to the death. And really, we feel like we already know who's gonna win this, but first let's look at each character's experience to one-on-one combat. If we have given Scamby Hand permission to use his gadgets and his inventions, he would have probably already won this fight, but since the no powers or weapons rule applies here, we obviously can't do that. Scamby Hand has had some fighting experience, being able to beat up Zorks Jr. when being pressed to his limits. But really, besides that, he doesn't have any fighting experience. Christmas Tree on the other hand has done up-close fighting before when he goes hunting for cookie monsters. So it's kind of obvious who wins here. Between these two, Christmas Tree is the winner of Squid Game. But do you agree with our decision? If not, who do you think would win? Let us know down in the comments below, and we'll see you next time.